Hello there everyone, it's Aiden here from Push Square, and before us we have gameplay of Resident Evil 9. This is obviously the latest Resi game. It's dropping on February 27th on PS5. We have had the opportunity to play the game. There's a full preview going live on the channel which you should check out. But for today, I'm actually talking through the gameplay, which I have not played. And embargo limitations basically mean I can't just upload this raw. I'm gonna have to talk over it. You're gonna have to put up with me yapping away. But I'll try and be as informative as I can be. So this really is about our first opportunity to see extended gameplay of Leon S. Kennedy, who makes his return to the series. And it does leave RE9 with a rather interesting split between this kind of gameplay and the survival horror of the last couple of entries, but it's not entirely gone either, as you'll see in a moment. Now, today's footage is B-roll provided by Capcom. Interestingly, we didn't get confirmation on whether this was PS5 or PS5 Pro. I reckon it's probably base PS5 in that instance, because usually they would be pretty upfront in saying like, oh yeah, this is the better looking version. As you can see there, we've had a really nice looking execution style. The gameplay here for Leon is much more like, you know, kind of whack. I don't know if wacky's the right word. Somewhat flamboyant. But here we have a new mechanic, which is the ability to pick up weapons from other enemies. Now, if this is left on the ground for too long, other enemies will actually pick it up and use it as well. And when it's been knocked down, it will rattle around on the floor and hurt anyone that gets in its way. Of course, you have these very over-the-top finishers, very bloody as well. And this, I mean, this just looks like Resident Evil 4 gameplay with some added flair, to be honest. Having just completed RE4 not too long ago as well, it's quite nice to see the classic of kneecapping and then doing some kind of kick. Nice to see that still holding true in RE9. But of course here, this is our second protagonist, or first, however you want to look at it. It's Grace Ashcroft. And this is where things get interesting in my eyes. We're going for a much different tone, a much different vibe. This is where basically things get scary by comparison to Leon's gameplay. Obviously we're seeing that the two characters here are kind of intersecting within the campaign story. And we're not talking, that is a gruesome headshot there. We're not talking anything like RE2 where you basically have two campaigns that are kinda linked but kinda the same, and like this here is sections of Leon and sections of Grace. You're gonna go back and forth between the two, which is where I think it's kind of serving to those two sects of the fandom, I suppose. The horror fans and the action fans as well.
What are you doing here?
I'm liking the look of Leon being aged up a little. And I really like that Grace is very, like, scared, you know? It's cool to see, like, an actual terrified character within these games. With obviously magic gates, some notoriously hammy horror tropes here. Oh no, we're split apart.
What?
Yeah, the animations are looking really nice. The character models are great.
He grabbed you for a reason.
Leon's looking very cool as well.
Wait, you're DSO. That's the
So at this point I think we're in some kind of care home or care like center. And we are returning to Raccoon City at some point. I don't know where at this point in the game. This is supposed to be kind of early on in the game. And then obviously now we're switching over to Grace, and this is probably what you've seen more of, but it's interesting to see just how different it is in stark contrast to what we've just seen with Leon there. And the interesting sort of default setting between the two different characters is that Leon's going to default to third person, and then Grace is going to default to first person. And you are actually able to switch them up. We don't actually get to see that in the gameplay that I've sent along today, but supposedly you are able to choose whether you want first or third person for either. Now this, I think, having just I completed RE4 recently. I've been playing through RE Village in VR. This is giving obviously those kind of vibes. It's that classic Resident Evil, puzzles, locked doors, things you need to find. And then combat is something we'll see here later. Obviously a lot different as well. The sound design is fantastic here as well. Nice and eerie and sort of like really realistic in a way which I like. It's almost like a subdued level of horror sometimes in very mundane settings, but then it'll go very over the top like we're seeing here. Now this is actually a new mechanic within the game as well, where zombies will sort of imitate the jobs that they used to have. And this here obviously is a former chef who's getting a bit into it with chopping up his meats. So obviously we're now getting someone that's really just got to try and avoid combat where they can. She's only got one bullet, so ammunition can be... That's kill as well, hurting her hand there. Ammunition can be a bit of a problem within this game. And then here we have another example of another job. A former cleaner. Really profusely cleaning that mirror. Probably not to the best of our abilities though. And in here we have some aspects of stealth as well. Again, just really highlighting how much different it is from Leon's stuff. What I'm curious to find out is how well they play off of each other. My immediate thing that I think of is actually Alan Wake 2, with the switch between Saga Anderson and Alan Wake, going from more traditional survival horror to psychological horror. And here we're basically going for survival horror to action horror, I suppose. But how does the pacing work when you're switching between the two across its full campaign? That's what I'm really excited to see more of. Here we have no other choice really but to run. Yeah. Horror loves a disgusting looking banquet table. So interesting to know how often you're gonna like just find weapons like that. Presumably this is a limited kind of thing, but no ammo there at all, so you're still not really got enough at this point in time to do much about it, but we'll get to see a little bit of that slightly more action leaning Grace combat in a second here. And I suppose there's always the option to just entirely, you know, do you even need to shoot these guys at all, or can you just avoid them entirely? It's nice to see the zombies back, and I have to say, you'll see right at this moment here, the character models are fantastic. They look so detailed and really gruesome, with like the veins and the blood and the sort of white glossy look over the eyes. And another job here, we have what is presumably a former singer, stunning you with a bit of a scream there. That classic sway of the first person games, where it just feels like headshots are doing absolutely nothing to these guys. Oh, the eyes hanging out. Oh, that's nice. As I said, you'll be able to check out our full thoughts on this in our Resident Evil 9 Requiem preview, which will be up on the channel, square.com. Now here we have another little puzzle here. We're not going to get the opportunity to see it solved, but it's nice to know things like this are back. These ever overcomplicated puzzles that are just randomly available. Now here, I really like the way that when Grace is tackled, it kind of, or does some sort of action, it goes into third person briefly. So in this example here, and it's very cool to see the knife stick into the eye. So presumably the knife will be retrievable again. Yeah, so it's nice to know you're not entirely useless, but obviously you are nowhere near quite the power dynamics completely shifting between the two. Yes, I'm sure I actually just saw the knife come out of the eye there. So presumably retrievable. The first time I watched that, I got such a fright. What a gruesome design. But this looks fantastic, the way that this beast creature thing breaks through the wall. It sort of reminds me of the Baker family back in RE7. And this is a new mechanic as well here, where we can gather the blood of zombies, and that blood then basically builds up a bit of a currency, which, as you'll be able to see here, we then can go into crafting menus, and you're using that blood currency to make different things. And in this example, obviously you can see down there different like healing solutions, but in this one we're going to inject a sort of very volatile counter zombie measure, I suppose. That's great. I love stuff like that. There's just a blood splatter everywhere as well. And here we got some classic Resident Evil inventory management. Stashing stuff aside. There you got a little coin as well. Different weapons. And as you'll see in a second here, Leon and Grace have two different kinds of inventory. Although it works out kind of the same. Leon's more of your like RE4 styled inventory with like bigger spaces where things take up more or less space depending on the size of the weapon. But Grace is more single item to single slot. There's the big baby, let's call it. And a new shotgun. This is very cool looking though. The animation is just it's just insane. The blood over the mouth and the sort of belly jiggling as well, and then here the eye twitching. There's great details there. And we have again this big thing try to squeeze through a door. I mean, the detail, it looks fantastic, and like I say, I'm assuming this is PS5, base PS5 gameplay. It looks so good. I mean, Resident Evil 4 was so well optimized, I suppose, on the PlayStation 5. It ran really well. There's a lot of great performance options on base PS5. I mean, these are lookers. All of these games have a bunch of grotesque little details. And here we have a very cool melee finisher. Leon just jumping on top of things, splitting their head open with an axe. Now I'm assuming here we're going to see a segment that a same area that Grace is able to explore, and we just saw her explore it earlier. And the way that Leon opens that cupboard, I'm going to assume that maybe you can get like a key or something to open that as Grace, but in this instance he's using just his axe to break it open. And we're obviously going to see stark difference of like how Leon handles these guys compared to how much of a struggle it was as Grace. But it's going to be interesting then if, for example, I snuck through this area as Grace, does that mean that's why they're here in this instance? Or if I kill them as Grace, are they gone? That's an insanely cool finisher.
Cut your act short.
And I love the quips. The quips have to be back. I'm glad to see they are. Now this is us wrapping up here. This is the end of the gameplay, so I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've liked the look of it. But yeah, Resident Evil 9, Resident Evil Requiem is coming to PS5 on the 27th of February. So let me know down in the comments if it's something you're interested in. What did you think of the gameplay you saw here today? Obviously there's your big change in the inventory management. Do you think it looks good? Will you be picking it up? Let me know down below, and while you're there, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more PlayStation video content just like this. Anyway, until next time, I've been Aiden. and this has been Push Square.